Welcome guys, and today we're gonna talk about newbie builds for corrupted dungeons. Lately people are asking me on stream, it's probably the most common and the most often question, what kind of build I can use if I'm just started play Albion. So this video will be for you. Ideally, you need to use builds that do not include super expensive pieces of gear like Fiend's Cowl, faction capes, etc. By the way guys, and the reason why I'm using 4.2 items is to get access to these Stalker Corrupted dungeons, because newly created character got 0 specs and minimum requirements to enter this type of PvP activity is 900 IP. Of course, later when you will level up a bit your specs, it will not take lots of time, you will be able to equip 4.1 items and it will be even more cheaper. So the first build is Claymore. It is what? Claymore itself, Cleric Robe, Soldier Boots, Regular Cape, Stew as Food, also Soup, Resist Potion, Healing Potions, depending on your enemy. As helmet, in my example, I use Soldier Helmet to get some kind of iframe, some sort of immunity versus high burst damage. Again, this piece of gear, helmets, could be replaced with almost anything. It could be Mage Cowl, it could be Guardian Helmet, it could be Cleric Cowl, all cheap setups. I know maybe some players will blame me for this, but I recommend you to press tech on this sword. What does it mean? When you start a fight in corrupt dungeons, if it is possible, you need to start your engagement with 3 stacks of your Q spell and with your E spell. In such way you will get advantage and probably you will kill your enemy. Like in this example, I was stacking on random mobs with my Q spell. Some people are using crystals, but if you will use crystal, it is obvious bait and your enemy probably will know that he will face a Claymore and that's why he will not attack you. That's why I recommend you to use regular mobs and stack on them, if it is possible. If you see that your stacks are running out, use Iron Will, it will refresh your Q stacks and will grant you some movement speed and defense versus purges. Start with your E-spell ability and later, in most of the cases, your enemy probably will die. That's how it works. Easy as hell. I know this example is not the perfect, enemy was pretty weak, probably also a new player, but that's not the point. In future, when you'll get some experience, you'll be better and better. Your main goal is to play just an efficient build and learn what kind of abilities in this game exist. How to counter this setup, how to counter that setup. Dying in Albion is alright. It is a main source of your knowledge. So don't be afraid to die. Just use budget setups like this one. Okay, next build is pretty unique, and this is what? Battle Bracers, Mercenary Jackets, Cleric Cowl, and Soldier Boots. Again, you can change your boots on any leather boots with refreshment sprint. Food, it should be stew and soups. Of course, about soups, I did not told you before, but always carry with you soups or any food on region, like catfish. Because in cases when you are running away from your enemy, because you failed your first engagement, you need to heal up fast while you're out of combat, and this soup will help you do it much faster. Plus there is some options, some windows when you can outplay your enemy on this health region. It is at some point toxic gameplay, but again, Albion is not about fair gameplay, so you need to use all available options to win a fight. Okay, and let me explain why this build is so strong. It is not only because of how Battle Bracers E work or something like that. Yeah, it got lots of mobility, you can kite your enemy, but the main source of its efficiency is Mercenary Jacket plus Triple Kick combo. So if you're on low health and even if your enemy got Fiend's Cowl, you can activate Mercenary Jacket and instantly click Triple Kick. Your Triple Kick deal several ticks of damage, plus you will be able to land few auto attacks. And only after that, your enemy, even if he will react in time, he will purge your Mercenary Jacket. But it doesn't matter because in most of the cases, you'll be healed like that in few seconds. That's the magic of Triple Kick and Mercenary Jacket combo. But also, why Cleric Cowl? Cleric Cowl is very useful versus one-shot setups, and on top of that, if you are planning to kite your enemy, for example, you want to use your E-spell, Triple Kick, and on top of that, can knock back your enemy with Cleric Cowl. Run away with your boots, wait for your cooldowns, and repeat. Mostly such tactic is very useful versus some kind of bows or bruiser builds. But if you see that your enemy is not a bruiser, is not so dangerous, you can take Cleric. For example, if you are fighting versus broadswords with mercenary jackets, you can keep this Cleric, and when your enemy is using his mercenary jacket, you just press Cleric Cowl and wait until it will go off. That's basically how you win a fight. And on top of that, in PvP, in 1v1, in almost all scenarios, you must use first Q spell. You will be surprised, but this ability can outdamage broadswords in face-to-face fights. Yep, that's how it works. So let's go next. So the next weapon is light crossbow, one-handed crossbow. Ideally, you need to go in Corrupted Dungeon when you will open second Q ability and the passive that is refreshing your Q spell, ideally. But in my example, I did not have this passive and was anyway successful. Well, ideally you need to level up them anyway, and it will take only 15 minutes or 20 minutes of fame farm in open world, so it is not a big deal. As an offhand, this actually doesn't matter, but since we are using super budget setup, you can use shield or you can use torch. Why I prefer torch actually, because it not only increases our attack speed, which is basically useless, it also decreases our cooldowns, because Mist Collar as an offhand will be a bit pricey option, so you can go with torch, it will not be a mistake. Next, again, Cleric Robe and Cleric Cowl plus soldier boots with regular cape. That's your build. Yes, it is easy to play, easy to kite your enemy, and you got insane amount of damage. Like in this example. Yes, again, enemies are not the strongest players in the world, but again, if you're a new player, you will probably face only new players, especially during your first days of gameplay. So this build is cheap and efficient. Now, next build, pretty toxic I would say, but it is fun to play and it is pretty efficient. It is Warbow with Assassin Jacket, Mage Cowl and any leather boots with Refreshment Sprint. The thing that you need to take into account that you need Frost Shot on W, it is must-have ability. As food, omelets, on cooldown reduction. So, what's your general idea is to kite your enemy. Use Mage Cowl at the start of the fight, E-spell, Q-spell, and keep distance, keep distance. If he is trying to push you, run away on safe distance, and don't run away completely. Don't, just wait. And repeat when your cooldowns are ready. And sooner or later you will kill your enemy. You might again think that it is toxic gameplay, but that's how Corrupted Dungeons work, that's how you're gonna win fights. Even without specs, with only 4.2 items, you will be able to kill your enemy. Again, this example not the best PvP ever, but as you can see, I was able to kill this enemy pretty easy, even when I was missing my E-spells twice, if I'm not mistaken. Well, yeah, this build is pretty good. So, let's go next. And again, one more easy to play option, it is bows. Again, if you are a new player, bow, probably regular bow, will be your best friend, because the only thing that you need to do is to press self buffs and auto attack. Yeah, there are some secrets, no, I would not say secrets, but tips how to use your E and W correctly, we'll talk about it later, but the build itself. In my example, I'm using regular cape again, bow, cleric robe, Hellion hood, it is hood with invisibility, smoke, and guardian boots with healing potion. Basically, you are playing like a turret. You're staying on one place and just pressing auto attack. As you can see, I was able to tank this sword user pretty easy, and at the last second when you thought that I would die, no, I just press auto attack and erase him in a few seconds. This build require only one knowledge. When you cast your E-spell and when you get 6 stacks of your E buff, you will deal insane amount of damage. So try to combine this E-spell twice. Let me explain. Before this, even you start a fight, use your E-spell and wait for your E-spell cooldown. When it will be half ready, you can start a fight. And during a fight, you can continue your E-spell buff again, and in such way you will be able to deal damage for much longer periods of time. You don't need to wait until you will hit your enemy 5 times, 6 times in a row before you will start deal insane amount of damage. And on top of that, these explosive arrows that I'm using on W, better use them when you got 6 stacks of your E-spell. Only in this period of time you will deal maximum damage per second. In my example, I played horrible. I forgot about this tip. I was not even using my Q spell. I was just pressing my spacebar, and anyway, I was able to win a fight. Imagine if you would press buttons correctly, not like in this example, but if you would press buttons in a correct way, you will be even much more efficient. There are several variations of this build. You can also play it with mercenary jackets, with soldier boots and hunter hoods. You can play with mercenary jackets, guardian boots, and this Hellion hood. So there are some options. But this is just an example how regular bow can be efficient on Stalker Corrupted Dungeon. Again, you can play almost whatever you like in Corrupted Dungeons on a Stalker level. It was just an example of cheapest builds that I know would work on 100%. Ideally, when you will learn all abilities in the game, when you know how to play versus all setups, when you will know at least the core idea of enemy build, you can change your setup on something else. I recommend you one website called murderledger.com. It is very useful. The only problem is that these builds in most of the cases are super expensive. And this information on this website is not 100% accurate, so you need to always keep this in mind. But in most of the cases you will be able to get the whole idea of what kind of builds people are playing and what kind of win rates do they have. Again, it was just few examples of playable builds. In reality, there are hundreds of variations of sword setups, spear setups, fire, frost setups, curious setups, etc, etc, and etc. But since you are a new player, I recommend you these first 3-4 builds. Try them by yourself, figure out what will fit you more depending on your own playstyle, and train. If you got no money, if you're a totally new player and you want to go on a Stalker level immediately, probably it is not the best way to go. I actually recommend you to go on a Hunter level, where there is no full loot. Train a bit, make sure that you will have 50% win rates, maybe 60% win rates, and then when you will have money to lose, price of this set, then go on Stalker level. And again, even with 50% win rates, I can bet you will make a bank. Because right now, Corrupted Dungeons is the easiest way how you can earn money as a solo player. I hope this video was useful. It was a tiny guide for new players. So stay safe, guys, and bye bye. See you soon.